Hey everyone, Dr. Angela here with you. Welcome back to Pretty Well. The topic of this video is going to be thyroid health. And so thyroid hormone and thyroid gland is a pretty big umbrella. There's a lot to say about thyroid because it's such an important gland and it's such an important hormone that's produced by the gland in terms of regulating our bodies, our metabolism specifically. And there's so much that goes under the regulation of metabolism. So Dr. Patty and I are probably going to make a couple more videos for you guys down the line, just kind of going a little bit more in depth on some of the autoimmune thyroid hormone issues that are pretty common these days to think about. But this one is kind of just like a thyroid hormone 101, thyroid gland health and thyroid hormone 101, how we take good care of our thyroid glands and some considerations to boost our thyroid health if it's running a little sluggish. We can run on any end of the spectrum, but it is far more common to have sluggish thyroid issues for a myriad of reasons than it is to have hyperthyroid issues, so running too high. Hypothyroidism can be caused from anything like the most common, I would say, is nutrient deficiency. So things like low iron, low zinc, low selenium, copper, vitamin A. There's quite a few things that can make it so that our thyroid gland doesn't have the raw materials to put out adequate levels of thyroid hormone. Also, most of us are stressed. Most of us are not sleeping enough. We're working a lot and really burning out our adrenal function. And so we talk about adrenals in other videos on this channel. That is another reason why maybe we might have production of one of the thyroid hormones that the thyroid gland makes. Like maybe we have T4 happening, but we're not converting well to T3 because cortisol, the thyroid hormone, is required in that conversion. So stress basically is a reason why we might be having symptoms of low thyroid systemically. And so there's a couple things to look at there. So we'll talk about that in this video. Okay, so let's get started with just some basics. Where is the thyroid gland? Well, it's right here. It's across basically the throat right here. And normally if our thyroid gland is healthy, we don't feel anything there. We don't have any kind of a feeling of swelling or discomfort. But sometimes with hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, the gland can get enlarged or inflamed, and so then we might have more of a feeling of tightness or congestion or constriction, some kind of fullness in the throat. But it's not normal to have that sensation. If everything's healthy, we shouldn't really feel our thyroid glands at all. If your doctor is kind of wondering, they might touch the area first, and if they feel something funny, they'd perhaps send you out for a thyroid ultrasound to evaluate that. Normally during an annual physical just blood test panel, we would check the thyroid hormone levels. So most often just a screening test is done for thyroid function, and that's a TSH, but that's not actually looking at your thyroid hormone levels. TSH is coming from the pituitary, which is in our brains, and the pituitary is a barometer for how much thyroid hormone we have in the body, and it talks to our thyroid gland. There's a feedback loop and it says, okay, we don't have enough, or oh, we need more, put out more, put out less. And so it's kind of this regulating hormone for us, but it's coming from our brain. So again, that's done as a screening test, but most doctors are not always running full thyroid hormone panels during an annual physical exam. I personally really like to do it because I see so much thyroid hormone dysfunction, and then so many things look like thyroid issues that I just like to be clear, when I'm trying to help a patient, where is it coming from? Is this a nutrient issue? Is it a thyroid issue? Is it a stress issue? What's going on? Is it an adrenal problem? Where is the issue that could be looking like low thyroid hormone coming from? So what does the thyroid gland do? So we said metabolism overall, but so what does that really mean? So it means a lot. It means our ability to think clearly. So being able to pull up words at a rate that makes sense. So not having any kind of brain fog or memory problems. Thyroid's really important for that. Regulating our sleep-wake cycle. So making sure that we're able to get enough sleep, that we're well rested. It regulates our GI processes, so the time with which things run through our GI tract. So when we eat something, how long it's taking to process that through. And healthy thyroid function, we shouldn't have constipation or diarrhea. It should be just normal, healthy, regular bowel movements. the amount of water retention in our system. Thyroid hormone is actually really important in that. If we have adequate thyroid hormone that feeds our mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cells, we have enough energy production. It helps with our fluid balance in and out of the cells, so nutrients getting in, waste products getting out. We shouldn't be puffy or have extra fluid. That can definitely be a common symptom that starts to happen with thyroid issues. A lot of people will wake up with really puffy eyes, or systemically just feel like they're retaining water all the time. Just kind of a sluggish overall, low grade, not good, not energetic feeling. Really common if thyroid is off. Again, we can be running either low or high, but it's much more common to be running a little bit on the low end because of so many of the factors that we're up against in our culture. So what else might we see? If we have healthy thyroid function, we should have skin that's adequately hydrated, healthy, full hair. If thyroid hormone starts to get too low or too high, that can be a trigger for shedding hair rapidly. There's other things that can cause that. So again, Dr. Patty and I have done other videos on some of these topics. We have a video that's specific to things that are important for healthy hair and triggers for hair shedding. So check that out if you're interested in that and you haven't seen it. But healthy hair is definitely something that thyroid helps us to regulate, having adequate thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormone is actually really important in immune function, proper immune function, and the rate at which we repair and regenerate our tissues. So it's just kind of the master orchestrator of making sure everything's done in a timely manner, that we have enough energy to do everything we need to do, our cellular processes, and everything's done in a timely manner. The other thing that we don't often think about is fertility. So fertility is really impacted if we have healthy thyroid hormone. It helps us to have regular periods if we're women, to conceive quickly, to hang on to a pregnancy well. And if we are running too low or too high, it is difficult to get pregnant. Periods get really irregular. Also, lab tests. It's really common to see things like cholesterol levels spike in funny ways if our thyroid hormone levels are too low. So thyroid's really a great master regulator. So it's really important that we love up our thyroids, that we give them the nutrients that they need to really function well. So what are some of those basic nutrients? Well, the thyroid gland needs a lot of iodine to make thyroid hormone. That's one of the precursor, the raw materials that we need to make thyroid hormone. And so a wonderful food source of iodine is seaweed or any kind of sea vegetables. Selenium is another really helpful nutrient for the thyroid gland. And so food sources of selenium, super easy one that a lot of us like, are Brazil nuts. So that's, just a few Brazil nuts will give you all you need in terms of selenium. You can also, of course, take multivitamins or selenium supplements, and the same is true for iodine. We can certainly supplement with those things, and I'll put all of that in the description box for you guys so it's easy to figure those things out. But, whenever possible for basic health, trying to get a wonderful diet that's varied in the nutrients that we need is a great starting place, and then we can always supplement with high quality therapeutic potencies of supplements that will be helpful, both nutrients and botanicals as well, because there's a lot of botanicals that will help us. So what else? In terms of thyroid health, vitamin A is also very helpful. If we're going to be eating veggies, there's a lot of veggies that are rich in beta carotene, which if we have healthy thyroid function, we should be able to convert to vitamin A. And so anything that's in the yellow and orange spectrum, so orange bell peppers, yams, carrots, those squash, those would all be wonderful food sources of beta carotene that we can convert to vitamin A. If you do eat meat, liver is very high in vitamin A, so that's a direct source. And again, we can also supplement with vegan vitamin A and or ones that are derived from fish livers or other types of livers that are on the market. So those are all helpful for thyroid hormone. Other nutrients, iron. Iron is really important, and it's a big one that's often missed. With women, it's harder because sometimes with menstrual cycles, we end up losing a lot of blood and then we don't replenish, and then it's like this vicious cycle, and that can really affect conversion of adequate T4 to T3, and so we can become hypothyroid without adequate iron, and supplementing iron is one of the ways we help keep healthy thyroid function going on. And so again, lots of wonderful sources in food. If you like nettles, they're a particularly rich botanical source of iron. Spinach, lentils, again, back to if you do eat meat, you could certainly eat red meat. Any kind of organ meats would be very high in iron. What else we need to think about? So we mentioned selenium, zinc, also very important. Pumpkin seeds, good source of zinc. And then copper, sesame seeds and sunflower and almonds and walnuts. All the nuts and seeds are going to be really helpful sources of the minerals that we need, and all the dark leafy greens. One note about diet is if we're running a little bit on the sluggish side with our thyroid hormone, we want to be really careful to not have tons and tons and tons of raw Brassica family vegetables. So that's things like cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and broccoli and broccolini, rapini, totally fine to have them sauteed and stir fried and broiled and baked, all those good things, and in soups. But if we're having lots of raw Brassica family vegetables, so some people do things in smoothies or juices, and that can be a little bit of a problem. It can slow things down a little bit if we're already, on that side. So if you've got a tendency to always feel cold, I'd say err on the side of caution and eat more cooked food anyways. If thyroid function is happening appropriately, we shouldn't feel like we're freezing all the time. We should feel really like we've got just a good body temperature, not too hot, not too cold. All right, so that's some of the food stuff we can do. Botanicals that can be really helpful as well. Coleus and ginseng and ashwagandha and Guggal and turmeric. Those can be really helpful herbs. Tyrosine is an amino acid that's very helpful for thyroid function. So again, these can all be taken as single supplements. You can also take formulas. You guys all know me. If you've listened to enough of our videos at this point on this channel, I really hate having a zillion formulas. So I really like to find formulas that basically combine things in high quality, high potency doses. So, starting with a great multivitamin mineral that's natural forms of the B vitamins, so like folate versus folic acid, having a high quality multivitamin mineral that's also therapeutic, because a lot of the food-based ones, you've got to look, they can be really low potency. So making sure that we've got adequate dosing, and so I can put some in the description box for you guys to check out. And then in addition, on top of that, taking a wonderful thyroid support formula that's either all botanical or botanical mixed with nutrients if you feel like you're running a little bit on the sluggish side. Now, one thing to think about is there's a few different situations. We can have normal thyroid hormone function, which is what we want, but if there's a problem, we can have just straight hypothyroid that's not associated with an autoimmune situation. It's just low thyroid hormone levels, and that can be for a number of reasons. It can be a pituitary issue, it could be a nutrient depletion issue, it can be environmental toxicity issue, it can be a conversion problem, it can be a stress issue. So lots of reasons why we might have low running thyroid function, which is then going to put out low thyroid hormone levels. Autoimmune thyroiditis, so we can get low thyroid hormone function or high thyroid hormone function from autoimmune situations. The thing I really want to say about this is that in our culture, we kind of treat all thyroid issues like they're the same thing. Like, in other words, just figure out what the thyroid hormone level is in the body and get the hormone in the right place and we're all good, but not so fast. If we have dysfunction going on, if there's an autoimmune piece, we also really have to address the autoimmune trigger. So in conventional medicine, I feel like we do really poorly at this, where we get the thyroid hormone dose correct, normalized with either ablating the thyroid, like if we're hyper, kind of finding ways to shut down thyroid hormone function, or if we're too low, stimulating, but not really addressing the autoimmune component. And that's important, because once we have one autoimmune situation, so in that case, the thyroid's getting attacked, but we're way more likely to then also have another tissue in the body affected by an autoimmune process. So just really important to also address the factors that are contributing to triggering our immune system and causing an autoimmune process to happen. And so Dr. Patty and I will likely do a couple other videos on autoimmune thyroid issues, hypo and hyper. And so it's a longer conversation, but just suffice to say that if for some reason thyroid hormone level is out of range, that we really want to evaluate whether it's just low thyroid hormone or if there is an autoimmune reason that's occurring. And so I'll just rattle this off quickly, but autoantibodies would look like things like TPO antibody, thyroglobulin antibody. Those would be for hypo, for Hashimoto's, and then for Graves, things like TSI, thyroid stimulating antibody. So just making sure that the autoimmune markers get checked as well if you've already done a thorough basic thyroid hormone panel and things are out of range. So again, the normal thyroid markers, TSH, free T4, free T3. I also like to run a reverse T3 just to see if stress is somehow causing an issue. And then if something comes back out of range there, then running the autoimmune markers we just mentioned, and I'll put them in the description box for you guys as well. So that's kind of, I think, a global piece on thyroid health and what it does. I want to mention from an Eastern medicine standpoint and the energetics of thyroid. So throat chakra would fall under the realm of thyroid gland activity from an Eastern medicine standpoint. And so you might, if you're into more of Eastern medicine philosophies and holistic medicine, also consider trying therapies that also work on throat chakra. So any kind of yoga or yogic breathing, breath work. Acupuncture is fantastic at getting to the meridians that affect thyroid function and throat chakra. That would be a wonderful choice. Also just expression, self-expression and creativity through the throat. So any kind of speaking your truth, singing, those things from an energetic standpoint would all be things that address thyroid hormone and throat chakra health. So that's what I have for you all this week on thyroid health. I'm wishing you all beautiful thyroid health. We would love to hear from all of you, anybody who has experience with various kinds of thyroid health stories, like foods you've used, if you had a thyroid level that was out of range, and different types of lifestyle practices or recipes you've used, any therapies you've used that help to get your thyroid in tip-top shape. Please do share that with everybody here in the community so that we all learn together. Thank you everyone for all your contributions and comments, those of you who've been tuning in regularly, and please keep telling us what you want to learn about, because we do read your comments. We can't answer all of them. We try as hard as we can, but comments are starting to come in faster than Dr. Patty and I can sometimes get to them. But we are trying as best we can to answer as many questions as possible. So thank you for everyone who has sent questions. Sorry for a little behind on answering, but we really enjoy reading your questions and you know, just seeing what it is that you're taking home from our videos, and what's helpful, what's not helpful. It's a learning process for all of us. So thanks again for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you back here next week. Take really good care. Bye.